If you're considering starting a home renovation or a new build with us, this is the most important video that you could possibly watch. After helping hundreds of homeowners through the process in the last 12 to 13 years, we've learned that the most successful projects always start with the beginning of setting realistic expectations. One of the biggest lessons that I learned throughout my career is that construction projects are a major emotional investment, and that working with the right people is the most important part of the entire process. The experience of living through a construction project comes with amazing highs as you see your vision come to life, but it also comes with unavoidable challenges along the way. That's why in this video, I'm going to walk you through exactly what it's like to work with NEPA Builders. To understand what it takes to have your renovation or new build go as smoothly as possible, watch this video all the way through. So I'd like to start off by talking about the emotional journey in the construction process. And what I mean is this is a relationship that is going to be between us and the client. And that relationship is going to last for a very long time, sometimes 3 months, sometimes a year or even longer. And that's a relationship. And good relationships are able to get through good times and bad times together. So it's important to us that when we're meeting with a new client that we're setting expectations just like that. The process is going to be difficult. There's going to be times where we're going to have very good moments and we're going to laugh, and there's going to be times where you're just not going to be happy, and we need to get through that. So the emotional journey and the roller coaster is very much a part of construction, and it's something that we should talk about right from the very beginning, so that when you're experiencing it later, you know that it's coming. You expect that to happen because we told you it's going to be like that. We're not telling you that, hey, this is going to be perfect, and because of all of our systems and processes, don't worry, you're going to be fine and you could expect everything to be perfect. That's what we're trying to exactly get rid of, is that idea. It's going to be good and it's going to be hard, and a good relationship means that we're going to get through it together. So when we're talking about the construction process and how you're going to feel from the very beginning through the end of the construction job, from design and planning all the way on through, there's definitely a roller coaster that most people experience. And depending on your personality style, you're going to enjoy certain things and you're going to be very bored by other things. So when we're starting off and we're in that planning and design element, sometimes like that's the most exciting thing for people. They're super excited to see their vision come true. It's coming together on paper. They're getting 2D and 3D renderings of that space, and they're super engaged and they're having a great time, where others might not be so impressed by it and they just want to get on and move on with it. So it depends on your personality style, but typically in that very beginning process, the emotions are super high. Everybody's very pumped up to get the process going. Then we're into that proposal phase, and we get past that and we're ready to move in construction, but we're now in pre-construction. So what that means is there's permitting and there's contract signing and there's getting everybody in the queue to get the project started. So depending on the type of a job, that could take a week or it could take months sometimes. So depending on that duration of time in between, that's almost always a point where the emotions go from super high, now the roller coaster is like to the bottom and getting super low, because we just want to get started already. Our emotions are high, let's get going, but we can't. So, that's a point where we're always telling people, hey, there's not going to be a heck of a lot of communication. You're going to get some updates as we're going back and forth with code departments and finding out from them when they're going to be able to approve the permit process, or if they need any more supporting documentation, so on and so on. So that's a point where people are sort of ready to go, but not able to get going because we have a little bit of red tape to get through. And then once we get through that pre-construction phase, now we're on to the beginning phases of construction. And what does that look like? If you're building a new house, let's say, your blank property is now getting all kinds of equipment moved onto it. We're moving excavators and pickup trucks and dump trucks to the site. If you have young kids, they love seeing the trucks come onto the property. Everybody's super excited and you're ready to go. And then, the second day we're digging big holes in the property, making big piles of dirt. There's something to see. It's live every day. It's super exciting, right? So the roller coaster is back to the top again. And then we get into the foundation. That's a little bit slow, but it's a little bit fast. Every day you're seeing progress. They're pouring footings and they're pouring walls. And then, the walls are standing all of a sudden, and that's super cool. And then we start to frame the house, and that's always a super high peak for everybody. You finally, the frame of the house is the first chance that you get to see the silhouette. What does the scale actually look like? So you see the frame go together and the roof gets framed, and everybody's, super pumped and energetic. Rain days and things like that in between, but we could live with that. And then we get on to the point where we dry it in, right? We put the roof on it and the windows go in it. Super cool. And we get into that rough-in phase, meaning we're going to start putting wiring and ductwork and plumbing and PVC piping throughout the house. And usually that excitement goes from, wow, this is super cool, to, oh my God, does it really take you guys this long to put wires in this house? Like, what are you doing, right? So again, the reason that we're talking about that is we could hang our hat on that. It's something everybody experiences. We want you to know that that's normal. You're going to get to that phase and you're going to feel that way, most likely. And then we move on to insulation and drywall. And that's both boring, but also exciting, because the minute that you put the drywall on the walls, now you start to see the shape of the rooms happening, right? But drywall takes forever and the spackle doesn't want to dry. And it seems like it's delays, but really it just takes a long time to hang the drywall and spackle it, because it's not fast. And we're halfway through. We're at this point where pre-construction's over, the rough-ins are done, and we're starting finishes, but it's not quite the finishes yet. So we get past drywall, we start to paint super slow. Things are taking time. The painters come. You think it's going to take 2 days to paint. It takes them a week and a half to paint it. But then, we start to put the flooring down in the finishes, and it's cool. Like in that period of time, also, you're working with the project assistant, project administrator. They're helping you make all your selections. You're staying engaged on the selection side, but not so engaged on the progress side of the construction part of it. And then you start to see all those selections finally coming in and getting installed. So the flooring goes in. That's super cool. And then the cabinets get set and the excitement comes back. And then we seem to get to this place where the countertops go in and then the backsplash needs to go in. But you would think it should take a week to put my countertops in. Well, we have to get the countertops templated. It takes a week to get them there to template. It takes 2 weeks sometimes to get them there to install it. Then you got to get the tile guy there to put the backsplash on before the electrician and plumber can come back for the outlets and the sink faucet. So you can count 4 weeks sometimes just around like that countertop phase where things are changing. And it's just like, oh my God, I just want to move in here already. We're sick of the old house. Maybe we have to move. We have a party coming and we want the new house ready for the party, or it's Christmas or whatever the case might be. And, we're just at that moment. We're just trying to, bring everybody back to this moment where we said that it would feel like this. It's going to be boring. You're going to be excited to move in, but it's going to be frustrating at the same time, right? So that's what the point of this conversation is like. It's just an emotional roller coaster in all these different phases. And then when you finally get done, it's obviously everything you want to be. And you look back and you enjoy and you appreciate the whole process. But it's important for you to know that you are going to experience frustrations. You are going to experience high emotions. I've been with countless people who have literally cried because of frustrations or all these kinds of things. And you will not be unique. You will not be alone. That's normal. And we will be there to help you manage those emotions and tell you how we're going to get through those things. And good relationships will get through good times and bad times. When we're meeting with a client in that very beginning, we want to know what the expectations are for them, because it's important that we know we have somebody that is able to manage those things on an emotional level. So to dive into the next subject, we'd like to talk about some of the common things that people ask us and maybe expectations that they had coming in because they've done construction projects in the past with either other contractors, or maybe they did some things themselves with maybe friends or people that they know that are in construction. So some of the commonly asked questions that we get are, can I use a painter that I know? Or can I have an excavator do the excavation on my project that we've worked with in the past? Or maybe the excavator is my brother or whatever. Usually the answer is no. And so there's a number of reasons for that. And we'd like to explain that because it's not very comfortable when we're just meeting and you're starting to ask us questions and we're just giving you no's, right? So the point and the reason for that is, number one, we have such a team and relationship built with all of these tradespeople that we've developed over the years that it's much like the left hand knowing what the right hand is doing. And so to keep that team together and to be able to provide you with a construction project that's not only quality, but that's timely, it's important that all of those people are familiar with one another and that left hand knows what the right hand is doing. So when you bring in this outside person, most cases, they're not as dialed in as the rest of the team is. They don't know who to go to and who to not go to and who answers their questions, all of those things. And it creates delays, it creates frustrations. We know this because we've done it and tried it so many times that we know that it's just not good in most cases. Now, there's an exception for when somebody has a trade person that is actually a vetted maybe subcontractor or vendor partner, and we could take them and vet them through our process, then of course we could use them and they'll flow underneath our company and through our schedule and so on. So the answer is, in most cases, you won't be able to just hire somebody. And one last reason is because insurance purposes. Most people that they're a painter and they do it on the side or whatever, they probably don't have the insurance that's required to be on one of our job sites, because we have a little bit better of a construction contractor insurance for your safety. And therefore they're just not going to be able to make it because they don't have that insurance. So there's a number of reasons why, and we could discuss, as long as we discuss it in the beginning, there's a possibility, but for the most part, the answer is going to be no. And then on to material selections. So a lot of people will ask, can we supply our own materials? And again, usually the answer is no there. And there's a number of reasons why as well. Materials are something that they could be supplied from various different places, but who is the vendor and what kind of relationship do you have with them or not? So for us, we have approved vendor relationships, and those vendor relationships mean that if we need something, we get it when we need it. And if something is wrong with it, if there's a warranty claim, it gets resolved right away. Whereas if we buy something online and we don't know the vendor, they might sell us something one time, but they have no skin in the game or no reason to act quickly on our behalf because there's no relationship developed. So that's the biggest reason. And then other reasons are there's just so many materials out there that can't be spoken for, so to speak. We've never worked with them before. They might not be quality. We can't stand behind them. We might not be able to provide a warranty to them. So between that and the fact that our construction project administrator works with all of the same common materials all the time and the same vendors, it's just going to, for her sake, make it more efficient for the process of getting those materials secured and procured and on the job site for when we need them. So that covers a couple of those most commonly asked questions between, can I hire somebody that, I know that could do trade work, and can I supply my own materials? So the last thing that we want to cover is the conversation around budget realities and time frame expectancies. So in construction, we have what is called a schedule, and we use Buildertrend, which is a construction management software that helps us with that. But by no means is the construction process in scheduling anything near a perfect science. It's actually very much the opposite. It's a tool that's used as a guide to let us know what the next steps are, but it literally changes, if not every day, multiple times a week. And sometimes people work in professions where their schedules don't change. And so they can't quite understand why our schedule is changing. And sometimes it's perceived as put together, or that you don't have good project management and things of that nature. And it's actually not true whatsoever. It's important to know up front that your schedule may look like a perfect 9-month schedule in the beginning, but we're probably going to put that project together in 10 to 11 months because there's going to be circumstances that you just don't control, such as bad weather conditions. Subcontractor has a project that he's finishing on Friday, and he has one of his helpers are sick and can't come in Friday. So now he's going to be there on Monday. And so therefore, there's a trickle down effect where he's going to come Tuesday and the next person in line is going to be a little bit delayed and they have to take another project and they're going to be a little bit late. So all it takes is one silly little things, just things that happen in our lives that create a delay that have a compounding effect of other delays. And we talked about drywall and spackle not drying. So if it's humid outside, that delays the drying process of spackling. So the time frame and the correct expectation setting with scheduling is you will get a project status report every week. You will know what we completed and what's happening next week and if there's been changes or delays. But expect that there will be delays, and expect that we will be looking for ways also to make up for those delays. We'll work on the weekend, we'll work later, whatever we need to do to pull it back in, but almost always projects will leak. That's really the schedule time frame in a nutshell. If I could give somebody advice, it would be to be flexible with your schedule, realistic expectations. Know that those project managers and lead carpenters are doing the best that they can every day and fighting heat and cold and all of those things. Have flexibility and know that it will get done and that we're going to do it in the time frame that it needs to be quality and not rush through it. So as it pertains to budget, that's another expectation to always set, because in renovation projects especially, there's just going to be things that you can't see before you open up the floor or the walls and things of that nature. So what we always tell people is whatever your budget is, expect to have an extra 10 to 15% to the side to cover anything like termite damage, or there's studs in the wall that have mold on them or things of that, maybe we have to rip the insulation out and we didn't plan to do that. All kinds of things happen. And I would say 90% of the time or more that something even small or big happens that you're going to need to replace it. And we're not the contractor to just put a Band-Aid over it and just put drywall over a wall that's rotted. We really want to fix it and make it right. We're going to come to you and we're going to explain it, of course, and here's your options. Choose the option that best fits your needs. But it's almost always something that happens. We almost always encounter some form of change that happens because of the site conditions once it's demoed. And then there's also the, new home construction. We might dig and all of a sudden there's a bunch of rock there, or there was a scenario that we hit this giant root mat and all the roots were entangled at the surface and we had to pull off 2 feet of the surface. So not only did we have to spend the time to pull it off, we had to haul the material away, and we had to haul material in to put back what wasn't there anymore. So nobody expects those kinds of things to happen, but they can happen. And that's why we say, be flexible with that budget. Know up front, don't maximize every dollar. Make sure that the budget allows for some of those possibilities to happen. And then lastly is the fun part when if you want to upgrade it, let's say you finally get to the kitchen part of the project and you have your main cabinets in an island cabinet, and you want to put a really nice top on the island, and you want to spend, another $2,000 there. When you get to that point, so many people want to do that it's nice that they can go ahead and upgrade something if they want to. So it's smart to just have that money set aside for all of those reasons, because whether it's something that you want to upgrade to make that project even nicer for yourself, or something that you just didn't plan for, it's always important to know in the very beginning, have a little bit of money set aside for any of those possible things. So that was all of our client expectations. If you're seeing this on YouTube, great. Do us a favor and like and subscribe. It helps us out a ton. And if you're seeing this somewhere else, we look forward to kicking off the project with you and moving forward and answering those important questions.